sorry. I didn't see you or hear you.
That's okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Now I
we can
can,
see
yeah.
you too.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I know.
So we just don't have Jill.
I see Jill.
Manager. Jill Myers on.
Oh,
Jill
Jill.
Meyer.
Yeah. We have
She
two
there?
Jills.
Yeah,
She
she's
is
there.
on?
I saw her.
I don't see her. I haven't at all.
Jill
Yep,
Meyer.
I'm here.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see her.
She is.
There she is.
There she is. We found her.
Yeah, I still don't have her. That's weird.
That's
Okay.
okay. I just have me. Oh, there we go. There we go.
Okay. Roll call. Call the meeting to order and roll call. Wendy, do you want?
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. I don't have my thing in front of me, but,
Oh, that's okay.
oh, I can look at the pictures. Greg,
There you go.
Karen,
Here.
Aaron,
Here. I thought you said
Jill,
Here.
Pam, Carol, and we know that Jill's here. She's just out for a minute.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. No public comment. Approval of minutes of June 11th, 2020. Anybody have any comments, questions? If not, a motion is in order.
I so move.
Who was that?
Carol.
Carol.
Pam
Was
will
there a
second.
second?
I'll second. Karen.
Got it.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Consider a motion to approve June 2020 vendor summary in the amount of $53,094.57. Excuse me. Would anybody like to, or has there any questions? If not, we need a motion.
Looks good by me.
Karen, I'll
Okay.
second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Consider a motion to approve July 2020 vendor summary in the amount of $88,054.02. Any questions? If not, a motion is in order.
This is Jill. I so move.
This is Pam. I second.
All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, I'm gonna need help here. It didn't print
I'm
right on
back.
mine. Okay.
There we go.
The next one, all that printed on mine is consider a motion to approve the preliminary. Is that the budget? Oh, that's
It's
right.
the budget.
The
yes.
budget. I got it.
All right. So there's not a whole lot of change in the budget. Luckily we did not have to make any cuts, but I did shuffle some money around. Obviously, as always, the finance department gives me what the salary and the retirement and the health insurance, what all those costs are. But I know that our costs are going to go up some in 2020, or I'm sorry, in 2021, because when we are replacing the youth services librarian, we increased the position to 8 hours a week. And so in order to account for that change, I cut the budget in some other places. So the big one is travel and training. We're not going anywhere. So
You're grounded.
we're grounded. And so I did cut it. I cut it down to if there were maybe in the fall a local conference that we could go to. Again, I'm meeting with Andrew on September 3rd to go through. That's why this is the preliminary budget. So that's a place where I could see cutting more. But at this point, I just wanted to cut it down. So, just in case we can go somewhere in the fall. The recruitment, the testing, the physicals, again, I base that off of employee turnover of 5 people. For 2021, I did 3 people. Based on, and we'll get to this in a little while, but based on what our August looked like, we may have to increase that a little bit. Telephone, we cut in half because Jenny Davies and I discussed it, and she decided she wasn't using her city phone. And so I'm the only one that now has a city phone. And then the other big place that I cut was magazines. And it wasn't a huge cut, it was $500, but our magazine circulation continues to drop. And our digital circulation continues to go up. This year alone, 20 different magazines either reduced the amount of issues that they were publishing or stopped publishing altogether. So the idea is that we always budget a year ahead on magazines. So the 2020 budget actually covers the subscriptions for 2021. So the 95, so the cuts would, if there are cuts to the magazine budget, it will come in 2022, if that makes sense. So that magazine money is actually for the magazine subscriptions for 2022. The equipment service contracts, they went down slightly because we're not paying Envisionware, which is the computer signing software, and we're not paying for the self-check machines on the first floor. And the MCFLS budget went up about $5,500 or $4,500, excuse me, because the state has decided that they want to put more money into overdrive. And they have a formula, and they just send an email to all the library, they just send the bill to all the libraries and say, this is how much based on your usage and your population, this is how much you're going to pay. And because we're actually one of the largest cities in the state of Wisconsin, when you take into account all the little cities in the northern and western part of the state, our bill went up substantially. So that's where we are with the budget. Again, as in years past, with Andrew, one of the things that he does ask us all to do is come up with goals for 2021. And so a lot of our goals are actually the same as what they were for 2020, simply because with everything that went on, we did not meet those goals. So the big one is increasing the usage of text and email notification so that we don't have to be paying for postage. We actually, MCFLS just set it up so that you can put a phone number in a person's record and get their text message and get a text message. Again, implementing credit cards, that was something that the city's been working on. And then even though hopefully we can go back to in-person programming, what we're finding is that there are some programs that are actually pretty useful or work really well in a virtual environment. So I think that we'll probably keep some of those programs virtual or do a hybrid of that it'll be offered virtual or in person. And then, like I said, update the library magazine collection. So any questions?
I have one. It's not really about the budget, but I guess it sort of is. What's up with the recreation department? Was Mary Jane replaced, or what is our connection?
So she was not replaced. The rec department is currently just operating. One of the part-time employees is kind of serving as is filling in for some of the duties that Mary Jane was doing. They're doing their fall programming, and then the city is talking with the school district about making a combined city recreation department,
Which would give us more space.
correct?
Okay, so there's, I don't know why, but I was just thinking, I know the health department has some of our staff helping. Are we helping rec at all, or are they handling it?
We are not.
Okay. I was just curious.
Yeah, they're pretty self-sufficient.
Okay, good. I think that's all I had. I like the a comment about author an annual report for public distribution highlighting services the library has provided and blah, blah. I like that idea. Did- We didn't do that before, did we? Sorry.
Nope, you're fine. Can you guys hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
I
Okay, good.
can.
Because all of you just froze. So I was
Oh.
nervous. So either you were all holding really still or something
I
went
know
wrong
I
on my
wasn't.
end. Yeah, so actually the idea is that for National Library Week, which is every April, that around the time of National Library Week, I would go before the council with this report and just kind of talk to them about what the library's been doing. Again, we had other things going on in April, so
Right,
that did.
right. That's all I have.
So again, Jill, I can't remember, I think you were here for the budget last year, but I'll just remind you. So what'll happen is I'll meet with Andrew in September, and then I will bring this back to you guys if there are any changes at the September meeting. And then it'll go to council in October.
So what we need is a motion to accept the preliminary. Is
Yes.
that what
Correct.
we're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, well, I so move. Karen.
Carol.
I'll second Sharon.
Got it.
Okay, and then consider a motion to approve the,
Personnel manual.
thank you.
City of Oak Creek
It's
Personnel
not
Manual.
printed. It didn't print on mine. I don't know why. Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I did not read the whole thing. I scanned it.
That's why I
Jill?
sent you the PowerPoint, which just highlighted the changes.
Right, right.
So
Nice.
again, back in January 1st of 2012, the city had to come up with a personnel manual because that's when Act 10 took effect.
Mhm.
We followed the city's personnel manual at that time, but technically we could have our own. I see no reason not to follow the city's, but so the city has updated it. But because we could technically have our own, this is something that the board has to approve independently of the city. So if you approve it, it would be retroactive to August 1st.
Okay. And what is your feeling about it? Is there anything that really sticks out to you that you're not happy with, or?
No, in fact, I think that it's really, I think it's really positive for our department because they're giving the part-timers, of which the majority of our staff is part-time, they're giving the part-timers a lot more benefits. They're getting paid holidays now. Their vacation is not going to be prorated based on how many hours they worked the year before. It's going to be based off of just then the same with the full-timers, time that you've been in the city with the city. And they also cleared it up. So prior to, in the old manual, there was the irregular part-time employees, which is a terrible name for them. But that was like our pages. So they weren't in WRS. And then we had our 20-hour-a-week employees who weren't in WRS, but they got prorated vacation. And then there was our employees that our part-time employees that were in WRS and got prorated vacation. It was all very confusing. So now they've eliminated that and they've just made it you're a regular part-time employee if you meet the threshold to go into the Wisconsin retirement system, which is 1,200 hours a year. We do have one employee who that ends up being 23 hours a week. We have one employee who is under that threshold. She has said that she does not have an interest in increasing her hours, so she will be grandfathered in. But when that position, if she were to ever leave that position, we would need to replace it with a 23-hour-a-week position, which again means like a good thing for us.
Mhm.
Right. Okay. So you want a motion to approve that?
Yes, please.
This is
Also
Jill.
move.
Oh,
Oh,
then
go
this is,
ahead, Jill.
okay, I was gonna, okay. I'll also move. You can second then.
I'll second.
Was
All in
that
favor?
Sharon second?
Oh, Sharon, yes, sorry.
Okay, got it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. Discussion of OCPL pandemic preparedness and reopening plan.
All right, so I have a lot for you all here. Basically, I just wanted to let you know kind of where we're at, and then some of the strategies that the staff and I have been talking about based on different ideas of what might happen in the fall. I'm not looking for I'm not looking for a motion, like a definitive answer, but if there's something that any guidance that you'd like to provide or any opinions, I'd really like to hear that. So I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit. And I'm going to start with the staffing. So right now we are down, I'm going to go department by department. We have 4 people in the children's department. One of those positions is vacant. We have 7 people in the access services department. One of those positions, 2 of those positions, the people are currently on leave. One of the positions, the person just resigned and will be done at the end of August. And one of the positions, the person is working the majority of their hours in the health department. So what that means is that for the month of September, unless as we fill these positions, the vacant positions, we will have 1 person in CERC. So that's important to know because the next thing that I want to talk about, and like I said, I'm going to kind of jump all over the place. So just feel free to stop me or go back or whatever, is we had originally talked about, or as a staff, we had talked about going back to more regular hours come September. I cannot see any way to do that based on our current staffing. In fact, we're struggling to even staff at the level we're staffing at right now. So my proposal is that if we get to full staff, that we would actually follow kind of the precedence of back when we were open Sunday hours, and that we will make every effort. If we end up changing our hours, those changes would not happen until October 5th, which is the first Monday of October. So that kind of gets us through September. And then again, based on what happens in September with everything going on in the world, we would come to you probably at the September meeting with some different options of what those September hours could look like. In a perfect world, we go back to our full hours. I don't think we're going to be in a perfect world, but we can have that conversation in September when we have a little more information. So I guess my first question is everyone okay with keeping the hours limited even through that first month of school, given that right now we close at 6?
I think that's reasonable.
Okay.
I
We don't
didn't
even
hear
know.
it.
We don't even know what the schools are truly going to do yet. It's kind of
Right.
hard to.
I mean, they may be closed in a week after school opens.
Right. Well, and so that piggybacks onto the next thing, is that we've kind of come up with some strategies of what to do if the schools close, and based on how things look in the community. So our first thought is that, again, considering that we're going to keep these limited hours, our number one goal, of course, is to keep the services where we're at right now, which is we're really pushing that browsing, the takeout service. All the tables only have 1 chair. We've moved almost all of the soft seating. When people come in, I was telling Greg earlier that we had our first group of people who moved the chairs around. We tell them that no, we're limiting it to 1 person, and so they can't gather. We are talking about the possibility of, when school opens, actually just shutting down the study rooms completely, only because we think it's going to be much more difficult to manage. But again, that's a play it by ear kind of thing. But right now we have the smaller study rooms closed, and we're just have the west study rooms, the larger ones, open, but we're still limiting it to 1 person or people within your own household. We're not getting a lot of study room usage. I would say that we're getting study rooms are being used 2 to 3 times a week. And that's for all of them. So all 4 of the study rooms are still only being used 3 to 4 times a week. So I don't think that that's a huge issue. So that's where we're at right now. The next step would be to go and eliminate all the seating. Some of the other libraries in Mickless have already done that. So it would be a browsing collection only. So all you could do is come in, use the computer, use the copier, or browse for books. So that would be the next level of reducing service. Beyond that would be that you could only reopen their branches. They're not allowing, I'm sorry. I'm on my hotspot because they're working on the internet. So Kevin tells me that I'm jittery.
Jill, can I just interrupt for a second?
Yes. Yep.
My concern is if the library is going to be jammed with bodies, mostly children, if it is virtual, plus the parents who homeschool. So I think there may be a point where you do need to do that and remove chairs and tables.
Right.
And maybe
And
not
that's-
tables, but
And that's kind of what we're thinking is that's why we want to kind of have these step by step of what we could do. And I'd like to
Right.
get your blessing that these different
Yeah.
steps are, because again, these are going to be things that we're going to have to be able to immediately address.
right.
You know, this isn't something where I can say, hey, you know, can we schedule a library board meeting in the next 3 days? And because in 3 days it'll be too late.
I think we may even have to go to, at least in the dark ages at the old library, if school was closed for whatever reason, people would drop off kids. I think if that begins, or maybe we should do it before it starts, can we say that children have to be accompanied by an adult?
So that's actually in the COVID policy.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Well, I read it.
So
I didn't catch that.
So that was, it
Okay.
was in the original one. So
Oh, the original.
it's,
Okay.
it's that children under the age of 14 have to be with a parent or guardian if they cannot properly socially distance. So we're giving them the benefit of the doubt that they can do
Right.
it, but if they
Right.
can't, we have it in there.
Okay.
So the next thing, like I said, what FPL is doing is they are not allowing browsing. You can come in, you can make an appointment to use the computers, you can use the photocopiers, you can check out your holds, and that is it. So that would be the third or the second, based on, you know, what we're doing, no chairs, no browsing. And then the final thing would be to go to curbside only.
If you have no browsing, how can they pick out what they want? Do they have to call ahead?
So
and
they
say,
can't. They have to call ahead or they have to
Oh,
put it
they
on
have to.
on hold through the catalog. Yeah.
Okay.
The other thing that, and I don't know what MPL is doing, but when I worked at my previous library, there was a time where we were redoing the carpet. And so we had to close off the whole adult department as they were recarpeting. And so one of the things that they did do is some of the staff, if a patron came in and there was a book they wanted that was on the shelf, the staff would actually go and retrieve it for them. So that would be an option as well, if there was no browsing.
And do we have the staff at that point to take care
Right,
of
and
it?
that's where it would have to be a totally play it by ear.
Right.
Because another thing to consider is that simply because of the nature of how we work, there is the possibility that if someone did test positive, which has not happened, that the whole staff, there is the possibility that a sizable amount of staff would go to quarantine.
Didn't I just hear a library that closed?
Waukesha.
Waukesha. I knew, I just couldn't remember. Yeah,
Yeah, the Waukesha
because of
library closed
COVID, right?
yesterday, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't know the details. I just know they closed. So those are all of, like I said, our strategies of what we're looking at based on what happens in the world.
Anybody have any? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say the other things that we want to do that we plan on keeping in place probably through the end of the year, is keeping the meeting rooms closed to public rentals, keeping the study rooms closed on the east side, keeping the study rooms on the west side, and the computer limited to 1 hour a day. So those are some other things that we do plan on continuing. Oh, and we move, this is in the staff report, but we moved all of our programming to virtual for the rest of the year, again, for planning purposes. So
We've
I
seen-
just gave you a whole lot of stuff. Any questions?
Jill, I've noticed a number of the positive report feedback from the customers. Have there been any negative report things
There
coming
have
in?
not really. You know, when the mask mandate came out the day before we were thinking about instituting that ourselves, and no one has really pushed back on it. I mean, no one has pushed back on it at all. We've had a couple of people who we've had to ask to, you know, put the mask up over their nose. And even those people they've done it and they've been fine. The couple of comments that we've had haven't been directed toward the library. They've been just directed towards the situation.
I know a
Well,
few,
that's good to hear.
I'm sorry. I know a few people that have asked me about checking out a curbside service and how long will curbside service last as opposed to being able to get in the library. And I said, well, you're able to go to the library now. They were just grateful for the opportunity to be able to have that service there.
Well, and curbside has dropped significantly in the last 2 weeks. And we're actually, the first week we were at less than 100 people a day coming through the door. This past week, we've been at about 250 a day. And in normal times, when we're open about 11, when we're open our normal hours, and we got between 700 and 800 people a day. So we're open 3 hours less. So we're starting to see a pickup in people coming in.
Well, and you're being the best service that you can be with what you have, considering the situation. And I think that's a good thing for what you and your staff have done.
Well, thank you.
I agree. Have there been complaints about the hours being cut?
No, I have not heard any. Again, I think that the staff, if somebody says something, I think the staff has explained the reasoning why, and
Right.
people have been very understanding. I do think that maybe once school starts, there might be some more comments about closing early. But again, I think that if we can explain the reasons why and explain that, you know, we're going to continue to investigate, we want to reopen too. You know, if you notice in my strategies, there's no going to complete closure again. You know, I hope that we never have to do that again.
Yeah.
So the other piece that I wanted to mention with the pandemic plan is I'm going to bring in a consultant to meet with me and give some mitigation ideas for how to keep the staff and the patrons safer, and some more long-term solutions. When we first opened, we put up plexiglass panels in front of the staff, and those have been fine. But you know, as we go through this, I don't think this is going away anytime soon. And so I'd like to get some ideas of what some long-term solutions can be, and it might end up being making some capital improvements to the building itself. So I hope to have some ideas of what it looks like in September.
Is the city doing anything in that regard?
Well, it's a little different situation for them because of how the front counter works. Their front counter is already totally enclosed.
Right.
And so all they had to do was put more plexiglass to make the opening smaller. We don't have that right now.
Right.
And so
right.
that's, again,
Okay.
one of the ideas that I had. More and more as we hear about how it's an airborne disease, that's where I'd like to bring in somebody to talk about ways that we can possibly work with our heat pump system and our HVAC system to circulate the air. It doesn't, the things that we've talked about don't work with our HVAC system. And then I will bring Dick into the discussion as well, so that
Right, right.
we can do it on both sides of the building.
I think that's a good idea.
All right. Anything else? I think that's all I have for my discussion.
I'm just happy to see that you have all these plans in place in case. I think that's important.
Well, thank you. We're
Okay,
trying to stay one step ahead of it. It doesn't
Right.
always work, but
okay,
But you're preparing and you're looking to the future, and even when this virus is a lot more quiet, you still have to prepare for the newness of whatever.
right. Yeah.
okay. So we can move on to number 9. Consider a
So-
motion,
Oh,
no,
yep. No, yeah, you can. Go ahead. I
Okay.
just got ahead of myself.
consider a motion to approve the revised COVID-19 policy.
So this is really just taking that policy that we approved in June, I believe. Yes, in June, and adding that they have to, before the policy said that they were strongly encouraged to wear a mask, we changed it to required. Again, the mandate requires it right now, but I think that it's important that our policy be updated to reflect what we're doing.
Okay,
And then
Oh.
the other couple of places were just simply, I caught a couple of grammatical errors.
okay. I will move
move
to
to approve.
approve that. Oh, I'm sorry,
Okay, I'll
somebody
second.
else.
It's Pam. I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, Jill, you're on.
All right, again, there's not much to say about the revenues. We're not taking in a lot of money right now, which is to be expected. But we're also not spending a lot of money right now. We're spending more now that we're reopened, but we had several months where we didn't spend a whole lot. For the staff report, a couple of things just to point out. We're hiring right now to replace that part-time youth services librarian, so we hope to have somebody on board for that mid-September. As I mentioned before, one of our CERC services employees, it has announced her resignation effective August 28th. So we'll be hiring for that, as well as our summer intern. Her last day is this coming Monday, so that she can go back to school. And then I think that the big thing is that one of the things that we talked about when we reopened is the importance of still being able to provide curbside, and also still being able to provide things that people kind of take home activities that they used to come to the library to do. And one of the things that people used to come to do a lot at the library in the storytime room was play board games. And so we actually now have a circulating board game collection. So we have 44. We have 44 board games that people can check out for a week and take home. And so, I mean, there's a couple of different things that are good about that. It gives them something new to do. Board games are expensive, so they can try it. So either they can try it out before they go and buy it themselves, or they can just, have a rotation of board games to use. So that was pretty exciting.
Did you buy these board games?
They were actually donated by a staff member.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
a staff member had a large board game collection from when her grandchildren were younger, and and so she donated them. So that was awesome.
I guess.
Very nice.
Yeah. The other thing that changed in the last month is that the libraries in the United States requested that a research group find out how long COVID can stay on library materials. and the study came back and it said it could stay on library materials up to 4 days. It was previously thought 3. And so we've extended our quarantine period to 4 days from 3. So we did have to buy some more bins in order to be able to quarantine the materials. And then again, this is just a happy thing, but Kelly Nymphius, who is one of our access services librarians, had a baby boy on July 6th. So that was
Nice.
exciting.
Yes.
So those are kind of the highlights of what we've been working on for the last couple months. Like I said before, we're moving all our programming to virtual. So the staff has been really working on making that change. Our computer classes, we're going to change to an on-demand setup. So the librarian that teaches the computer classes is actually going to teach and record them. And we're just going to put them up on our website. And then, so anyone, you can go in and watch the computer classes at your leisure. But then if you want like the handouts that she would normally give, or she has homework assignments, so you can still sign up and it'll work kind of like one of our Gale courses where you would come and you would do a computer class once a week and she would give you homework that then you could turn in and she would talk you through it. So we'll see how that works. I think it'll work out really good. And also if you sign up and take the computer class, then at the end of it, you can sign up for a 15-minute one-on-one session with her, either via Zoom or via the phone, where she can talk you through if you have any specific questions.
Nice.
Great.
Jill, I have one question about the staff. Is
Yes.
everybody good with this COVID deal and what their restrictions and hours and so on are?
So far they have been. Again, the staff are working all of their scheduled hours. So that hasn't been an issue. And so far they've been, they're making sure they're doing their best to socially distance and to work independently. But, like one of the things is that just some of the places in our building we have pinch points. And so even if the staff are working separately, there's just going to be times throughout the day where they're going to run it, like not really run into each other, but they're going to pass and they're going to be in close proximity to each other. But overall, I've been very impressed with just the positivity and the team atmosphere that the staff has exhibited.
Good.
I've been really
Good.
impressed with them all.
And that stems from you, I think, too.
Oh, thank you.
And, and you have to that's rub off on them, but where you are more positive and looking at that report.
Well, thanks. The last thing that I just wanted to point out was I have a link to Trustee Training Week, which is coming up. They're doing one webinar a day. So if anyone's interested, for those of you who are on the Friends, there is one about getting Friends membership. So that one might be interesting. But yeah, so if you have time to watch one of those, they have a couple of good ones that I think might be worthwhile. And that's all I have.
Sounds good. Anybody have any items for future agendas? Nope, neither. Anybody want to adjourn? No.
Evidently
I'll make a
not. We're all
motion
having such a good time.
to- Yeah. It's so exciting to see people, right?
Yeah. I'll move. We adjourn. This Karen.
Karen.
Carol second.
All
That was
in favor?
Carol, Wendy.
All in favor? Aye.
Bye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are out of here.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
You too, thanks.
too.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.